morning. Welcome to the MySQL conference for 2009. So, wow, there's been a lot going on in the past couple days. We have a huge audience, and I'm sure you're all really interested to know about me and my new job here at Sun with the MySQL group, right? So I do want to tell you a little bit about myself. The MySQL team thought it was really important for me to share some of my background and experience. I'm actually based in Boston, Massachusetts, born and raised in the area. And I went to Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Worcester, Massachusetts. That's how we say it. And I was one of two women. My best friend Melanie and I were graduates of computer science in the class of 1990. And we used to joke that, you know, and I'm feeling kind of like I'm back at school here, that the odds were good, but the goods are a little odd. So anyway, you know, I went to an engineering school. It's all about technology. I started my career programming, doing kind of fault-tolerant, actually Unix servers at a company called Stratus, and then there was this little disruptive company called Sun Microsystems that basically came in and undercut the price of these very high-priced parallel servers by just putting two little boxes together, and there's your redundancy, and you have failover. Right? So that's how I started my career. Wanted to come to Sun because I was really interested in customers and support and how they were being so disruptive with technology. And so I've been at Sun for 16 years. I did take a sabbatical, and I went to Red Hat because I was passionate about open source. Not just about the open source communities, but actually how you develop code in the open source. How do you create a product made from all kinds of people all over the planet. And I was absolutely passionate about that. And, you know, sadly, Sun at the time wasn't ready to really fully embrace open source as a way of life and a way of actually developing product. So what made me come back to Sun is Sun's total commitment to open source. And so I put this slide up here with all these logos of all our communities that are, you know, really sponsored and founded by Sun. And I know all you chip developers in the audience are, oh, wrong conference, sorry, are interested in our OpenSpark project, which isn't even on the slide. Anyway, so anyway, we have a whole bunch of communities, and you probably, you know, do these logos mean anything to all of you, or do they just look like, you know, other logos of communities that you don't really interact with? Give me just somehow a show of hands. Do you recognize any of the logos? Right, so GlassFish is the big one that I've been working with for many, many years, since its inception at Sun as the Java 2 Enterprise Edition reference implementation and platform. And happy to say that, you know, that project is growing and growing very, very quickly, and we see lots of synergies between GlassFish and MySQL. So I'd like to, you know, challenge you. We have a Whisper Suite going on here at the show, and go by and talk to some of the GlassFish folks, because I think there are a lot of interesting things that you could do together as a developer using MySQL. So that's a little bit about me. You probably want to know about this little announcement that happened yesterday about Oracle. So, you know, this is Sun's commitment to Oracle. Sun's commitment to open source. Freudian slip. Okay, Sun's commitment to open source. What do you think Oracle's commitment to open source is? And we had a partner reception last night, and that question was asked. You know, what do you think Oracle's commitment is going to be, especially to MySQL? As you guys are absolutely committed and invested in MySQL, what do you think is going to happen? And so, you know, at this time, the announcement was just made yesterday. A lot of us don't know, you know, much about Oracle and what's going on at Oracle and the motivations behind it. But I can tell you that I've been working, Karen's personal experience with Oracle over the years. They have worked with us on a number of different projects. The first one, we'll go back to the GlassFish one, which is TopLink Essentials, is in the Eclipse Foundation, and that is contributed by Oracle, and it is part of the GlassFish community. The Eclipse license is not really compatible with our TLDA for Java or our CDDL or the GPL license for that matter. So we really had to spend a lot of time working with Oracle to reconcile that so they could still contribute and be part of the GlassFish community. And they have, really stepped up and gone the extra mile to make that relationship work. So that's, one big success. The other one, you see OpenDS on this slide. That's our directory server, which is our new performant all Java-based directory server. And the backend data store under that is the, Java version of the Sleepycat database. And that is also shepherded and sponsored by Oracle. So I have really, good experiences working with Oracle, and I will continue to be a champion, as I think all of you will be, for open source, no matter who the owner of MySQL is, right? MySQL's ubiquity absolutely transcends whoever is the steward of that technology. So I want to thank all of you. You may not know this, but I don't think there's anyone that goes a day without interacting with a MySQL database. Whether you're doing a Google search, or you're making a phone call, or you're sending a text message, or you're watching, cable TV. We span all kinds of different marketplaces, different applications, and it's all because of your community involvement, usage, and commitment to the platform. And so the other thing I really want to point out, I know that when Sun acquired MySQL, there was a concern that suddenly we're going to take MySQL and it will only be a Solaris thing and it will only be on Spark and we're not going to spend time working on the other platforms. And, that's not what we did, right? So what we did is really made sure to do our true commitment to both the platforms and the languages. And if you look at some of the logos on the slide, I'm sure we've used a slide similar to this in past conferences, and what you're going to see is just more logos put on the slide, especially in the areas of platforms like Ubuntu. I bet Ubuntu wasn't on your slide, a few years ago, and the way we do that is we look at data, we listen to you, we see what are you downloading, what platforms do you want, and then we will continue to drive the development and creation of those platforms. Same for the languages. We have had an absolutely fabulous year. More than 12 million users of the database, 70,000 downloads a day, and more than 1,000 partners are part of the MySQL ecosystem. And then we have shipped a whole bunch of products that we're going to talk about in a little bit. So MySQL 5.1, how many of you are using MySQL 5.1? Show of hands. Good support. Yes, I know it was a long time in coming, but it is absolutely well worth the wait. We spent a lot of time and focus on quality improvements and engineering discipline, and we've found that there's more than 3 million downloads of this since it released back in December. More than 50% of the users have MySQL 5.1 into production, and this makes it the fastest adopted technology in production deployment for MySQL over any of the previous releases. So I've been in this job for about 2 months now, and Martin Mikos has been shepherding me and giving me all the great advice and told me that I could very liberally, anything that went wrong, blame it on Martin because he's no longer in charge, so I'll try not to do that. But one of the things that I did hear loud and clear is really 3 things from all of you, from talking to our customers, our partners, and then listening to the blogs and the community, and what are people saying. I think overwhelmingly you're saying you want us to have better quality product, you want the product to perform more, you want us to release things much more quickly, don't take so long to get stuff out to us, and then really you got to focus on community contributions and bringing stuff back to the community. Thank you. That was a woman, I could tell. Okay. We're announcing today, this is our big release that everybody's been waiting for, that we wouldn't tell any of our customers or partners yesterday, is we are releasing MySQL 5.4. It is a release that is focused on quality and scalability and performance. And so this is a release that's really with the InnoDB storage engine. We've seen 16-way and 64-way performance increases. Another thing in here, subquery optimizations. How many of you use subqueries? Everyone in the middle that I can't see is like using those things. Anyway, great. So I'll tell you that I'm responsible for the software infrastructure part of Sun 2, which is all our identity management products, our directory server, our app server, web server portal, ESB, and business integration products. And as soon as we acquired MySQL, and I was intimately involved with the acquisition and then the integration of the acquisition of MySQL into Sun, our customers said to us, loud and clear, we want to use MySQL with your infrastructure products. And so the big one was Identity Manager. We have a market-leading identity management product, and we had a major bank that said, I'm doing a new deployment, and I want to use MySQL as the database. And the salespeople came to me and said, Karen, we got to do this, big deal, big numbers, let's see what engineering can do, can we turn it around? The problem that we had was that it didn't work. So the way Identity Manager was built and was using a whole bunch of subqueries, it actually ran into a bug in MySQL 5, so we couldn't support it, right? We actually tried and ran into a little bit of trouble when a customer hit this problem, and we realized it was a bug in the database, and we couldn't fix it. So what I made my team go and do was go rewrite this so that you can work around this bug. Now, that's really not the answer that all of you guys want to hear, right? You don't want to be told, I have to rewrite my whole application to make it work. So we did actually do that and announce Identity Manager, and we're making a big announcement about that today, that it's available with MySQL, with kind of the rewrite so it can support 5.0. So 5.4 is there to help us with all these issues so that you don't have to rewrite your application to see these performance improvements. Now I'm going to show you a little bit about these benchmarks. So our benchmarks are very, very impressive, and as a development manager, love to see benchmarks where the bars are going up and to the right. So this is the EA stress, which is a subset of our SpecJ app server benchmark, and you can see that it's 59% faster than 5.1. Now I'll just quickly kind of go through a couple more. So we have the suspense benchmark, and you're seeing from 5.4 versus 5.1, you're seeing 40% improvement. And then we have an OLTP scalability benchmark, and this is on 64-way server, so you're seeing 71% throughput and increase. And so finally, MySQL core database is taking advantage of the hardware that you can run on. So you don't have to change your application, and you can actually scale both up and out. And so with that, I mentioned that all of this is with our InnoDB, the InnoDB storage engine with MySQL. And I'm very happy to introduce my friend Ken Jacobs from Oracle. Big round of applause. Ken,
hi,
welcome, Dr. DBA, and Oracle employee number 18.
Yes, I'm famous for being old.
Well, I think we're both old.
No.
Okay, so I wanted Ken to come up and talk about this a little bit, because you saw that those performance improvements were largely due to, with InnoDB.
Well, thank you, Karen. And, those are some pretty impressive performance results. In fact, in my 28 years, I can't remember a time where you see a 59% increase from release to release. So congratulations to all of us. I'd like everybody to know where these enhancements come from, really. It's part of the open source ecosystem. There are enhancements that Sun has made in MySQL. There are enhancements that the InnoDB team has made in my group. There are enhancements that come from the community. And thank you to Mark Callaghan and the folks at Google. So this is really a great example of how this all works. We're incorporating these enhancements from multiple places, delivering those scalability benefits to all of you. And I think they're pretty impressive. Now, Karen talked about just a couple of benchmark examples. Some of those performance improvements come from very specific enhancements that are listed on this slide. but I wanted to call out a few other things that you will be seeing in future releases of 5.4. Now, 5.4 is available now, is that right?
The mirrors are being seeded as we speak. So those of you that are online looking for 5.4, the mirrors are being seeded. You'll see that.
Great. So you guys should go out and test it. You won't see all of these.
Well, that's because we wanted you to listen to us, so we turned the wireless off.
You won't see all of these features in that first release of 5.4, but going forward, there'll be additional releases of 5.4 that have some important new functional capabilities. I'll just point out two very quickly. Fast index creation. No longer do you have to copy your whole table to add an index to a table. So that's a big deal. And thank you to my team, Heikki Turi and his folks who've done that. Another very interesting and important enhancement is data compression. You'll be able to squeeze the size of your InnoDB tables significantly and at the same time reduce I/O because the database takes up fewer pages on disk. May not be appropriate for all applications, but particularly where it's read-only, it can be a big win. So that's pretty cool.
It's very cool. So 5.4, again, it's a beta. It will be available. The mirrors are seeded as we speak. And that's the, probably the first beta. And what we're talking about is releasing very quickly, within a matter of weeks, these new features that Ken was just talking about.
I'm very excited about that. But you know what, Karen?
But wait, there's more.
I actually stuck a slide in your presentation. You might not even know about this.
Let me see.
I'm here to announce briefly a new product that leverages the InnoDB technology. It's called Embedded InnoDB. Announced today. What it is, it's a version of InnoDB that has a very low-level, ISAM-like, non-SQL API. So it's down at the level of a storage engine where you access indexes and iterate through cursors directly, but not using SQL. It's really delivering all of the benefits of InnoDB for the embedded market, for devices and edge applications that need this kind of low-level functionality to get a powerful API for programmers and the operational characteristics that you need in a standalone kind of environment. I'll be talking about this at 11:50 if I finish my presentation, which I have to go do. But there's information about it available already on our website, and it can be downloaded right now. So check it out. It should be, and it is all GPL, by the way, so that you understand we are continuing our commitment to open source.
Okay, great.
Karen,
so thank you.
Thanks
but wait, before you go,
yes.
I have something very special for
now
you.
You're going to surprise me. That's very good.
And here to present the award is last year's winner.
Oh, okay. Excellent. This is great. Thank you. This is awesome. Thank you. It's very nice.
So next year, if you come with 9 billion, maybe you'll win this award too. 9 isn't enough. 50. Okay, great. So that was our performance enhancements and all about the InnoDB storage engine. We have another very exciting announcement today to talk about a different storage engine, which is our MySQL Cluster 7.0. How many of you have heard of it? How many are using it? Jeff currently in the front row raising his hand. So we have this new release. We're going to see great performance improvements as well. It is an in-memory database. It is super, super fast, and it gives you 5 nines availability. It is used as, it's used with LDAP and directory stores to be really, really fast transactional database. So we have, again, benchmarks up and to the right. We like to see the bars go higher. Look at those huge performance improvements since 6.3. So my hat is off to the MySQL Cluster team. Great job, and we're shipping that today. So those are the two. Yes, thank you. I begged my team to laugh at my jokes and please clap because there was enough disruptions for the keynotes this week. I don't know if you noticed. Anyway, so those are all things, performance enhancements that you will benefit just from picking up the new versions, right? So we don't make you change your application. Use the current application you have. Use those different storage engines. You're going to see increased performance, absolutely. So what if your application needs a little bit of help, right? Do we have some tools and things that can be used to help you achieve better performance when your application is already written. So how many of you have ever even heard of the MySQL Query Analyzer? So we have some hands. That's good. I'll tell you that again, when I first was new in this job and was asking a lot of questions and digging deep into the product and learning more about it, I found this tool, the Query Analyzer, to be, I think, one of our best kept secrets and one of the best gems within the organization. So how many of you use this on a regular basis or have ever tried it? So fewer hands. Anybody using it right now to check on what's going on back at the office? You two. Why don't you guys come up and let's talk about that a little bit. Show me what you're doing. So I'd like to introduce good luck. Okay, so Gary Wizen and Mark Matthews from our query database team, tool team. So they're going to show us a little bit about how to use this. Here's the fancy clicker.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Karen. So I just wanted to mention, Karen, Mark went to Purdue because he was told it was an all-girls school, but So Mark and I are part of the engineering team that produces the MySQL Monitor. What is it? Well, not very many hands went up indicating that you've actually tried it. So it's a distributed web app that you install on your side of the firewall. You can use it to monitor the performance, the availability, and the security of all of your MySQL servers from a single console. So that's kind of what we do for a living. I just want you to brag for a minute. I saw that Karen said there were 12 million downloaders or downloads. I think there's about 1 million people crowded into here this morning. So just go ahead and raise your hand if you actually are responsible for developing or maintaining a major website for your community or your company. Keep your hand up. Look around a little bit. And how about a business critical app for your community or company? Okay, so lots of hands. So you put your hands down. Thanks. So a lot can change in a week. You're here for the whole week. Are you nervous? I'm nervous about the demo. I see people checking their iPhones. What do you do if you got that page? I'm not the one, we don't get the call. We make the tool that makes the call. But what do you do if you get that horrible call, your iPhone goes off, and response times are just horrible? Database response, say again?
Blame the tool.
And what does your successor do after you blame the tool? Database response times are just going crazy. You have no idea why. You're sitting here trying to listen to Karen and trying to look at Ken's slides. He's not sharing the vodka. You're very upset. And what do you do? So, if you're, let's see, I suppose I'm in control of this, sorry. If you're the old school person, you actually, have these kind of problems railing away at you. You've got, maybe someone deployed a new application. You don't know why this is happening. Maybe this actually happened to one of our top 20 websites. I think their major app was down for 7 hours because someone had deployed a new application that had different side effects in production than it had when it was in test. Or maybe you're actually, you inherited some app. You've got some users complaining about some horribly slow app. You have no idea how to performance tune this thing. Maybe you actually have been looking through the slow query log for a query which will never show up there because it's actually really fast. It just happens to execute 10 bazillion times a minute. Mark will tell you about one of those that happened to us. So, you've all been to Fry's. You walk out the door. You ever see the programmer supplies there? You've got the Jolt Cola and the lifetime supply of Doritos. You surround yourself with console windows. You run show process list, and you dig through the general query log. I see heads nodding here. Someone's crying back there on the right. And this is your life, right? And my question is, who thought of this? This is there's got to be a better way. So that's what we're here to talk to you about. We've extended the monitor. We've added a query analyzer. And Mark's actually going to bring it up on the screen. And we want to switch to him now. Thank you. He's got the front page of the monitor there. You can see some graphs. You can set this up with notifications and alerts so that if you're at a conference like this one and someone's deployed a new app or done something horrible to you, you get the page and then you blame the tool and you get fired. But it's not your problem for the rest of the week, right? You can actually, what else? Replication page tab. I wanted to mention that. So how many are using replication? Yeah, look around. Zillions. So we auto-discover your replication topology. You can click on the page tab and view your status. And then there's these performance graphs, which you can use, and Mark's going to show you how we've extended in this release. So we wanted this to be a real-world demo for you. Our experience is you can performance tune any application. So we've downloaded, I went to SourceForge and downloaded this open source enterprise class CRM application used by millions of people all over the world. Run it through the query analyzer. And we're going to give Mark 5 minutes. Let me just see if this thing's working. It's got 5 minutes to find 5 queries. Ready, go.
All right. Well, I like to start with graphs myself. And one of the graphs I find that is a good indicator of performance is this row axis graph here on the lower left. And one of the things I'm looking for is full table scans. And the red line here is indicating full table scans. And I see a little peak there. And this feature, new in 2.1, I can actually select that area of interest, and it will take me right to the query analyzer page. And what the query analyzer is actually doing is it's capturing queries that are going to your monitored MySQL servers. It normalizes them. It turns them into a format that looks a lot like prepared statements, and it gathers all kinds of statistics on them. Execution counts, execution times, rows returned, et cetera. And we bring these all back into the app, and you can dive into them and sort back and forth. So one of the things I'm looking for here is I know I'm looking for a select. So I'll filter on that. And I know that it will probably have higher than average execution times. And I see one that pops up here. So let's go ahead and get some more detail on that. So if I click on the query itself, I get a pop-up window. So this is the first query that I think is going to be a problem. It's kind of not a terribly hairy join, but it does a select count star. I don't like to see that. And if I click on the explain query tab, we actually bring the explain plan right back to you. You don't have to hop out to another console and run it and figure out what's going on. And this was the explain when the worst case of the query happened. And here we see a table scan. That's not always bad, but it's something that should be looked into. So like I said, count star, I don't like to see that. That's one. But another nice thing about the tool besides the graphs is that there's all kinds of searching. So if I go back here and say, well, you know what? I don't want to see anybody doing count star. So I'm going to find a second class of queries that are bad. And right here, I see them all over the place. I'd like to go back to my developers and say, hey, can we replace this with a summary table where we can? And so there's about 42 queries or so of that form. So that's number 2. So Gary had talked about this issue of, let me change time here, of queries that just execute way too fast and too often. So one of the things you can do here is you can sort by execution count. And we see some queries here, that are executing a lot, but they're very quick. So these are cases where you might want to consider caching them. They might be outright bugs. We ran into an issue in our application. DBCP was issuing a query 80,000 times, like in 30 minutes, and it did absolutely nothing. But it was the top time waster in our application, of all things. So that's number 3. So let's look for something else. Over here, the rows column. One of the things, this is a web app, so it's user-facing. There's no bulk activity going on. I'd like to see what are the largest result sets coming back. And my apologies for the scrolling. Holy cow. There's 3 queries that are getting executed quite a bit that return 2,000 rows all the time. I don't think anybody can see that on a screen, 2,000 rows, and do anything useful with it. So these are things I think I'd like the developers to take a look at and see if they can paginate them. Maybe the application is actually not even looking at all those rows. So that's 4. So Gary talked about, are any of you nervous? How do you know what's going on back at the ranch while you're here and anybody, is sabotaging you? We have this first seen column, which if we sort by it, it shows the first time that a query was seen by the tool. And I notice right here that somebody has created a table, which I was not expecting to happen. So, I have to go figure out why that happened while I'm here. The other thing that's interesting is that somebody was issuing inserts that always had errors. So that's number 6 that I caught. That, often you won't even catch this in a log, and some applications just don't even do very well at error handling. So that's 6.
Before I move on, thank you. Before I move on, I just wanted to ask Mark a quick question. Hey, Mark, you're accumulating all this data, aggregating all this data. Where do you keep it?
In MySQL.
And what's the storage engine you use to manage this?
NODB.
Okay. Just curious. So we're back to the slides, pretty please. All right, so Mark showed you in just, I don't know, what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes? He was early, he's always early. He showed you at least 5 different kinds of queries. There's literally probably 200 queries there that someone could go back and performance tune. This is an app that's in use today. How long would it take you to find, the guy who was going to blame a tool, how long would it take you to find those in your app if it was going down? Oh, he's actually, he 2 minutes. All right, well, he's quick. And we were actually talking with some of our customers who've been using the product. Jeff at Clickability is here this week. He said that they actually found problems in just a few hours that they hadn't found for years. Big Fish Games is here this week. They're online game hosting. They're here this week you can actually go to their talk. They're going to tell you how they tripled their database performance in 3 days. So works for them. Does it work for us? Actually, I'm supposed to show this slide. By the way, I don't get out much. We work from home, so I never even touch this. So that's Clickability, Big Fish Games, and then Mark was talking about that query. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to work on a compiler or a debugger, but you get to this place where it's really ready to point it at something, and you actually get this horrible thought. You point it at itself. So it's kind of this weird recursive MC Escher moment. Mark, he lives in Chicago. He put his wife and kids to bed safely on a Friday night, and he went down to the basement, cranked up the Pink Floyd, and he ran the query analyzer on the query analyzer, and then just boom, staring him right there at the top, running 80,000 times in the 30-minute sampling period was a query that just flapped auto-commit and did absolutely nothing. Yep. He said it was an Apache bug. So it worked around it. So, yeah, good work. So, all right, so listen, don't take our word for it. You're sitting on a little business card. We stuck it there. Actually, just go to mysql.com/trials and check it out. Free trial of the query analyzer. The stuff that Mark showed you with all the tables and the sort, that's there today. The visual query correlation stuff will be up there in a few weeks in the trial. We have a Birds of a Feather session tomorrow, 8:30 Ballroom E. We're going to kind of set up a stump the DBA, 2 machines. Come and send queries at one station and see if we can detect them at the other station. So thank you very much. And by the way, have a great week. Don't be nervous.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Not bad for a couple of guys that don't get out too much, huh? Okay, so we told you all about performance. That's one of the big things that we talked about that I said I had heard from our customers, our partners, from you, the community. And so now I'd just like to take a moment and ask all of the MySQL employees, former and current, to please stand up. You know who you are, I hope. So, yes, well, stealing the thunder. All right. No, stay standing for 1 quick minute. So for 1 quick minute, I just really wanted to point out, and I wrote on Martin Mika's goodbye slipper shoebox, no kidding, we gave him retirement slippers, that said, thank you very much for making my job easy. And so this is, we have all this great stuff because of all the hard work that the MySQL employees do. So thank you very much. I just wanted to give you a big round of applause. Which leads us to the next part of the big thing that I heard is I'd love the whole room to stand up because we need to start talking about doing more about accepting community contributions. So that's the other big thing that you guys have been telling me. So we are here to announce today that absolutely we are doing this. 5.4 is a perfect example of the community at work. And we have dedicated folks that will be looking at examining the contributions and really working with all of you so that we don't just give you lip service and say, we want you to contribute. We really want you to contribute. So one of the big things that we've changed as Sun being the steward of MySQL has the Sun contributor agreement, which is much more liberal than having to give your firstborn child away if you want to donate some code to MySQL. So please go check that out. You don't have to just give us code. You can do test cases. You can send us feedback. We're here. We're ready to listen. We are a learning organization. We adapt, we learn, we change, we grow, we evolve. And so this is where we are because of all the hard work that the MySQL employees have done over the years. And my hat is completely off to all of them and everything they've done. Now we can do more and we can grow more and we can leverage the larger organization of Sun and Oracle. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the other thing that I've heard loud and clear is that the community wants the monthly rapid updates. And so I commit to you on all of the current shipping releases, we are going to make the monthly rapid updates available to the entire community. We'll have source and binary. They'll be available on all the platforms, and we will continue to deliver that to you. So with that, I'd like to invite Kai Arno to come up. So I think many of you know Kai. He's our Vice President of Community Relations for MySQL and Sun. So Kai, so wait, don't hide behind the podium.
Well, I have to hide because nobody will hear me otherwise.
Oh, okay, all right. So I wanted to just ask you, so you and I have had many conversations about the community and what we should be doing for the community. Are there other kind of big, bold things that maybe we should be doing?
Can I wish for something?
Yes.
So I was thinking about going a bit more open source, for instance, on the documentation.
BSD? No, I'm kidding. That was a joke.
GFDL or something.
The documentation. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about that? Should we, GPL the documentation? Is that something you guys would like? All right, so why don't we go and talk about that and go see if we can do that. Okay. All right, so thank you. So now this is, I'm sure, the moment you've all been waiting for. I forgot about this slide. Okay, so I forgot about one very important thing about the community and all the learnings we have with the community is we have this Drizzle project. And where's Brian Aker? I hope he's here somewhere. Anyway, so Brian Aker is doing a talk later this afternoon about the Drizzle project. MySQL, we're calling it the MySQL Drizzle project. We want to talk about the fact that this is, a technology incubator. They kind of took the core MySQL, threw out all the stuff that, was making them more complicated, bigger, and looking at, how do we do this in a simpler, lighter weight way? And so this is a project that is, shepherded by Sun Microsystems, and, we're embracing it in the MySQL family. And so please go and learn more about this at Brian's talk later this afternoon. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for is the MySQL Awards. So this is an annual event presenting awards to our partner, community, and applications of the year. So Kai is going to do the honors.
Okay, can I have the cursor, please?
You may.
Instead of the envelope. So the first category that we have is the partners of the year, and they are Intel, Infobright, and Lifeboat. Please come up on stage. Intel is our hardware partner, Infobright for data warehousing, and Lifeboat, a channel partner. Thank you.
Okay, we have to do the little camera pose. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
The only woman engineer.
Exactly, thank you. I wasn't kidding about more women at the conference. Congratulations.
Thank you, our partners of the year. So now let's go for the following category. We have 3 categories here. The following one is the applications of the year. And our winners are Zappos.com, Alcatel-Lucent, and Symantec. Please come up on stage.
So good to see you.
Good to see you.
Zappos in retailing, Alcatel in telecom, and Symantec, obviously, in security.
Congratulations. You guys both. Say. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, applications of the year. Now for the moment I have been waiting for, that's the Community Award winners of the year. Can we have Shiri up on stage? So Shiri wrote a blog last year. Will you tell us about the blog that you wrote?
I wrote a blog post last year, tinyurl.com/100 today will send you to it, and basically I put my money where my mouth is, and I said, I don't want to be on stage accepting a community award, so I'm going to give $100 to everybody who does win the community award. So I figured I would be out 200 if not 300, but as you see, I'm actually out $300, so Mark Delisle, is that correct? Delisle, Ronald Bradford, and Shlomi Noach. Come on up.
Congratulations. And then Sherry has
the important one.
Yes, exactly. I think you want this envelope. Not that this isn't a fabulous gift.
They are.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, thank you.
So thank you, community members.
Okay, so this is just the beginning. It's the first part of the conference. You have the rest of the week. There are all kinds of things going on. Pace yourself, meet other people. We have, certification exams going on. We have keynote sessions, all kinds of buffs, and quiz night. We're going to be giving away some Nehalem servers. So go to the booth and sign up for that giveaway. That will be great because you'll get all the performance enhancements that we talked about earlier. And then the other thing I wanted to do is, just reiterate my thank you. Thank you for coming to the conference. Thank you for making MySQL so ubiquitous. And I really wanted to repeat, anybody that's kind of nervous about this acquisition, is that you all have made MySQL so ubiquitous that it really does transcend the steward. And so as we move into this new phase of Sun's life, and we will have a new steward for MySQL, I think it will be in very good and capable hands. The other big call to action that I'd like you to go and look at and think about is wander around and look at some of the adjacent open source communities that may help you develop your application better, faster, quicker, right? So every time you have an application, you have to identify yourself. Go visit the Identity Manager and the OpenSSO part of our booth. Go look at GlassFish and OpenDS. It's all in the booth. And really, I thank you very much, and I hope you have a fabulous show. Thank you.